Alright, boys and girls, welcome back to the remix of Chapter 9.9, the last video in Algebra 1. Let's go. It's pretty quick. We got always, sometimes, or never true. What a perfect transition into geometry. You guys are going to see these questions all the time in geometry, okay? It's just we got to determine whether these statements are always, sometimes, or never true, and then give a reason for our answer. So here we go. Let me just spread this out. Shout out to Tori. Did her best on the air test. Hi, Tori. What's up? All right, number one. The slope of the linear regression line can be calculated using any 2 points in the data. Well, this is sometimes true, but it's almost never true. It's only true if our correlation coefficient is 1 or -1, meaning only if our correlation coefficient means that our regression line is a perfect line would that be a good way to find the slope of your linear regression line. Okay. If the correlation coefficient for a set of data is 0, then the line of best fit is horizontal. This is also sometimes true. This could also indicate that there is a very weak or no correlation at all. 3. The sum of the residuals for the line of best fit is 0. Well, the residuals are how far and how below the line is. I think this is also sometimes true. The sum of the residuals will be very close to 0, but will only be 0 on some occasions. So, for example, if r equals 1, that'll be 0. Or if the data is perfectly symmetric. If the correlation coefficient is very large, then there must be an outlier in the data. Never, I don't think. Outliers will actually reduce our correlation coefficient. Let's move this up here. And anyway, a correlation coefficient can never be bigger than 1. Truth. Next. 5, 6, and 7. A negative correlation coefficient means that the data points are very random and don't really fit. Well, that's only sometimes true. In fact, if the correlation coefficient R equals -1, then the data points are an exact fit for a line with negative slope. So that's like Not a good answer at all. A negative residual means that the regression line is very far from the actual data point. Very sometimes true. In most cases, a negative residual just means that the data point is below our regression line. 7. If the correlation coefficient is positive, then the slope of the line of best fit will probably be positive. This is always true. That's what a correlation coefficient being positive tells you. 4 more. Number 8. If there is a perfect correlation between the variables in the data, then the correlation coefficient is 1. This is sometimes true. It could also be negative 1. Number 9. To find the value for a residual, I'm going to map this out. All right, so we've got an axis, and then you've got some points. So then from those points, we draw a line of best fit. To find the value of a residual for a point A, comma B. So let's say that this point here is A, comma B. Now, the line of best fit that you find is f of x. Down here is A, over here is B. So this right here, that is f of, let me write that a different way. That is the point A, comma, f of A. Okay, so find f of A, that's this, how high up it went. Take B minus f of A, I agree. If the answer is positive, then the point is above the line. If the answer is negative, so if it was like 5, yes, this is exactly true. That is always true. That's exactly how you find a residual. Always. The larger the residual for a given point, the further it away the point is from the line of best fit. That's always true. No. Sometimes. The residual could be very negative, which I believe is small. And then the residual could also be far away. But if the residual is positive, that is true. Always true. If there's a perfect correlation between two variables A and B, then either A caused B or B caused A. This is only sometimes true. You are confusing causation with correlation. Just because two variables are correlated doesn't mean that one causes each other. If that's what it meant, then you could convince me that anti-vaxxers were right. Or you could convince me that the majority of Americans are more generous when the weather is cold. Because you could correlate how many presents a person gave and say that most of the time the weather was cold, because our holiday seasons tend to fall in November and December. That doesn't mean the cold weather caused the generosity. It just correlates with the generosity. Read carefully. Don't trust fake news. And as always, boom!